If you need any Xbox or PlayStation codes or anything gaming related, check the referral links down in the description. They'll take you to g2a.com. They already have a discount on most of their goods already, and with the code CHES at checkout, you can get yourself an extra 3% off as well.
Hey guys, how's it going? Ches back again, and welcome to episode number 69 of the Chelsea career mode here on FIFA 15. After yesterday's difficult introduction to playing on Legendary, we're hoping for an improvement today. If you do want to enjoy the video, of course, as always, feel free to hit the like button. That would be really much appreciated. And if you are new to the channel, then subscribe as well. Getting closer and closer to 70,000 subs as I speak. So fingers crossed, if you are new and you enjoy the video, you'll hopefully hit that sub button as well. But I'm starting a bit of a rotation side here, as you can see. Kevin Trapp in goal, Lewandowski up top with Ross Barkley, Griezmann and Willian as the front three behind Lewandowski, with Ramirez and Marco van Ginkel sitting in that holding role. Now, obviously we lost to Burnley yesterday, so things can't really get much worse for us, having started on Legendary in yesterday's episode. So I was hoping to get off to a great start here, and had that flown into the top corner, that would have been probably the best possible start. But unfortunately, Lewandowski's acrobatic effort went wide of the post. Like I say, yesterday was a real steep learning curve, having not played on Legendary for the entirety of FIFA 15, and then stepping it up in the middle of this series, and I was just not ready for it at the time. Losing to Burnley, getting a... Did we get a draw in the first game, I think? I can't quite remember. I think we got a draw in the first game, and then we lost to Burnley 2-1, which at home as well, which is just not good enough really, considering we won the opening 9 games of the season on world class. So hoping for a vast improvement in today's episode, and as you can see, we're creating chances against Hull. They just seem to be dropping to the wrong people. If that had been someone else other than Ramirez in that position, then maybe we would have found ourselves going 1-0 up. As it was a Brazilian, and unfortunately smashed it well wide. That was pretty poor from them though in their final third, and they really weren't that good when it came to finishing. They were good at building the play up, as you know every team seems to be on Legendary. There is a really steep learning curve when it comes to Legendary, a really steep jump in the CPU's ability to just break you down as a defensive unit. But fortunately for me, we were able to withstand Hull for the majority of this game. As you can see, into stoppage time now at the end of the second half. Lewandowski's going for a shot. That's a perfect tackle from the defender as far as I'm concerned, but the referee points to the spot. We get a stroke of luck. Curtis Davis gives away the penalty, and you'll see from the replay, I can't decide whether he wins the ball first and Lewandowski runs into him, or whether he just blocks the shot. I think it's a mixture of two in one. Lewandowski's kind of making contact with the ball as Curtis Davis swings across to get in front of it. So Lewandowski steps up after winning it himself, and not only wins the penalty, scores the penalty and wins us the game as well. Our first win on Legendary, away from home against Hull City at the KC Stadium. Couldn't have asked for a better response, really, from yesterday's defeat. We ground out that victory, as you saw from the highlights. A really tough, solid defensive effort, which is something that I need to improve on. If I'm going to do well at Legendary, I need to improve my defending. You guys already are well aware how average my defending is and how bad I am at defending on FIFA 15. So if I'm ever going to improve, I have to test myself, and that's what we're going to do with stepping up to Legendary. So the second game is at home against Southampton, as you can see. Ross Barkley starting behind Diego Costa, who's been in fantastic goal-scoring form recently. Unfortunately, Lewandowski is on the bench again. A few of you guys asking me to change formation to one that plays 2 up top, but personally, if I'm playing on Legendary, I'm not really willing to change formation to something I'm not overly comfortable with. Well, even in general, even on world class, for some reason, I don't seem to play very well on FIFA with any formation that isn't a 4-2-3-1. I'm shocked that I've been able to do so well with Cambridge in the CM Road to Glory series with a 4-4-2, because every other formation I seem to suck with. We did okay in Italy with Inter with the 3-5-2, but in the BPL, I really don't think 3-5-2 is the way forward. I really like the 4-2-3-1. We've kind of made our signings based around playing in a 4-2-3-1 as well. So, you know, I'm going to stick with this formation. We get off to a good start, though, as you can see. Ian Robin giving us a 1-0 lead with the second highlight of the game just before the half hour. The first half, though, was pretty quiet. As you saw, or as you can see, we're now into the second half. They get a little bit lucky with the way that breaks to Dusan Tadic. I'm not really too sure what happened in the midfield there. He breaks around the outside. Jay Rodriguez squares it in. And Pablo Osvaldo is the man to put it into the back of the net to sweep them back into the game at 1-1, literally just 2 minutes into the second half. I worked so hard for the entirety of the first half to get that 1-0 lead, and immediately they wiped it out. But Ross Barkley's trying to do some work here on the edge of the box. Plays in Cesc Fabregas, goes for the pop shot, and it dipped really nicely. It moved really well. Just unfortunately moved a little bit too much and bent away from that far post. But we were definitely threatening to go back in front again. Southampton were kind of similar to Hull, really. Didn't seem to threaten that much on the offensive, and I was able to cope with them defensively apart from that one goal scoring opportunity. And then Ross Barkley just smashes that effort into the near post in the 62nd minute on his left hand side as well, which is something that he doesn't really do for us too often. He doesn't score many goals, and when he does, they tend to be on his right foot or with his head. I think that may even be the first left-footed shot I've scored with him this season, but he just hit that so hard at the near post, there was nothing Kuna could do about it. It was just so hardly hit, and it dipped as well, and it moved a really well struck shot from Ross Barkley. Ordinarily you'd have said goalkeeper near post OP, but I think he hit that hard enough to warrant being able to say, you know, it was just a really good shot. And we had a really good clearance there. Danny Carvajal with almost an overhead kick to get it away. Unfortunately the Southampton man went down and stayed down injured because of that clearance. Don't know whether Danny Carvajal kicked him or whether he just fell awkwardly because he was put off by the tackle of the Spaniard, but we came close with another Spaniard to extending our lead to 3-1 there with Diego Costa, but unfortunately his shot came back off the post and we weren't able to get to the rebound either. We're into stoppage time now though at the end of the second half. Scored in stoppage time in the first game, and we get so lucky with the ball, the way the ball breaks to Ross Barkley here, that I'm really not sure I deserve a 3-1 lead. We deserved a win, regardless of the way that the third goal came about, but I think 3-1 flattered us in that one, but definitely were good value for our 2-1 lead. So pleased to get 3 points for the second game in a row, and that's our second win now on Legendary. I seem to have learnt very quickly, or I felt like I learnt very quickly from the defeat to Burnley, and then I stopped playing after that Burnley game and started recording this one in a new session on a different day. And clearly I was just playing better football on this day than I was when I recorded the previous episode, because we've done really well so far in this one. But things don't get any easier as we head into the Champions League group stage once again to face Saint-Etienne. And if you remember from the first game against them in the group stage, we actually lost it 1-0 at Stamford Bridge thanks to a last-minute header. So I know they can beat me on world class, so I'm really going to have to be on my game to avoid defeat on Legendary now. But starting the same sort of side that played against Hull, although there are a couple of other players in there that you would expect to find in my starting lineup from my strongest side, like Ramos, Hazard, Robin, Oscar, etc. So rather than having a complete rotation 11 each time, I think I'm going to just start, chopping and changing a few players here and there, rather than, completely swapping things around with an entirely different 11, and just kind of rotate my squad that way so that it's a little bit more realistic. When it comes to my squad rotation, I always seem to play it, or I always find myself playing it more like a game than I do like the sport of football, just because of my OCD with fitness levels. I'm going to try and curve my OCD and kind of rotate my squad in a more realistic fashion, but we'll have to wait and see whether I can actually withstand that for the majority of the rest of the season, because OCD can be quite overpowering at times. But anyway, we're pushing into this game now towards the end of the first half. Saint-Etienne have had a chance that they hit the post with. Lovely dinked ball over to Clement here, and I just couldn't close him down in time. It's a really good finish as well, actually a very good move in total by Saint-Etienne, and it's a really nice finish from him as well, tucking it underneath Kevin Trapp to give them a 1-0 lead. Now this is a scenario we've been in before, like we say, against Saint-Etienne, 1-0 down, although we went 1-0 down in the last minute. So I've got more time this time to actually get myself back on level terms. Lewandowski comes close and can't quite get to the second ball there. The defender gets it away before he's able to reach the rebound and head it into the back of the net. But we are into stoppage time now at the end of the second half, trying my absolute best to get an equaliser if I can. Diego Costa smashes it from the edge of the box, and that could be the goal that saves our Champions League season. A defeat here would really have caused massive problems heading into the final group stage game against Schalke, who sit top of the table, and our fate would have been in their hands, or in Saint-Etienne's hands. But with that point, we have our own destiny, our own Champions League destiny is at our own disposal. You'll see from the group stage table that I'm going to bring up on screen around about now that we are now 3 points ahead of Salzburg and Saint-Etienne. If we'd have lost that game, Saint-Etienne would have been on 6 and we would have been on 6, and obviously if we lose to Schalke and they beat Red Bull Salzburg, we'd have been out. But our fate is in our own hands now. If we can just get a draw against Schalke, we'll be through to the knockout stages of the Champions League, which, considering how topsy-turvy our Champions League group stage has been so far this season, will be very pleasing and quite a relief. But we still sit top of the table, though. 11 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. So since stepping up to Legendary, we've won 2, drawn 1, lost 1, which is all right. You know, we've not really seen a dramatic dip in form. It was only really that first episode where I found myself really struggling, but we still have quite a nice gap at the top of the table. There's a couple of teams down the bottom that really are starting to already find themselves a few points from safety. But 13 games in, which is, what, a third of the season almost? Very close to being a third of the season through the season so far, and we're 8 points clear at the top and clear of Liverpool and Spurs, who both sit on 26. But obviously that's thanks to our really strong start to the season. Everything could change between now and the end of the year. This may have been a one-off where I actually played well on Legendary, and the next episode may be me playing terribly again and losing to sides like Burnley, and that might be the norm. But hopefully it's not. Hopefully this is the norm, and we can maintain at least some decent form on Legendary. But thank you very much for watching. Drop the video a like if you enjoyed, of course, as always, and subscribe if you haven't already. Check the channel page for anything you might have missed over the last few days as well, as always, and I'll be streaming tonight, so check the link in the description to my Twitch and to my Twitter so you can stay up to date with everything that happens with me. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.